Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Nick Tan Chats. My name is Nick Tan, and on today's episode, I'll be chatting with you guys about Paperwork Volume 2 by Scott Creasey over at the 1914. So hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for showing up, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for spending some time with me today. So on today's episode, if I do sound a little different, or if I do look a little bit tired, it's because I'm feeling a little under the weather. I'm developing a bit of a sore throat suddenly, and I really hope I recover because I've got shows coming up this weekend, and I do need to be on stage by hook or by crook, right? So yeah, I mean, if I do, look a little bit listless, I suppose, just know that, well, I'm not feeling too well. So on today's episode, I'll be chatting with you guys about Paperwork Volume 2 by Scott Creasey over at the 1914. So if you know about Paperwork, you will know that Paperwork is a project that features the billet work of Scott Creasey, all right? And it is a 2-volume project, all right? Volume 1 deals with open billets, all right, flat billets, which I have discussed on a previous episode, all right? So do look that up if you haven't done so already. So on today's episode, we'll be looking at Volume 2. Now, Volume 2 talks about billets that are folded, all right, like that. So as with all your 1914 purchases, your videos, all right, will be made available to you on your 1914 account. And again, I believe you can buy them separately or you can get them together. On Volume 2, Scott will take you through some of his thoughts, on the use of folded billets, the psychology of folded billets. He'll talk briefly about the kinds of billets to use. And then he will discuss something with you called the pocket stash. Well, we've all had this problem. I mean, those of you who, use billets, like me, right, when I used to walk around actually doing, mingling, mix and mingle performances, pocket management was important, because with folded billets, they just get a little bit messy, all right, in your pocket, all right? So Scott gives you a way of organizing that, and at the same time, it's also used to facilitate, well, the use of another technique. All right, and when going to your pockets and removing the stack of billets. And then because you are dealing with folded billets, obviously there will be discussions about billet switches. Okay, so on this project, Scott will talk about some of the switches that he uses, something that he calls, the workhorse switch. There is a refold switch, an unfold switch, the elimination switch, and also the split elimination switch. All these billet switches, I mean, obviously, it's really important, as a billet worker, that you do learn, switching of billets, right? Because, I mean, the majority of routines that uses folded billets, does really depend on your ability to quite, efficiently, undetectably switch these billets and get them ready for the read as well. For me, a lot of the billet stuff that I picked up, apart from the usual recommendations, such as Animan, I've also learned quite a bit from one particular manuscript from Yaz Yakut's. Okay, his Completely Mental series, Volume 2. Okay, and in there, you will find, a whole collection of, billet switches, billet switches where you switch them in the action of unfolding the billet or in the action of refolding the billet. And it gives you, techniques as well about reading them, right, under fire, right, in front of your audiences. If you are interested in billet work, I do recommend, Volume 2 of the Yaz Yakut's Completely Mental series. Not to take away from Paperwork, but I thought I'd also mention other sources that I've got a lot of value out of, in recent times. Mark Paul has put out incredible resources for billet work, billet switches, peaks and stuff like that, at Alakazam, so do check out, the billet work of Mark Paul. And also, like at the 1914 again, there was a project, I think the Billet Masterclass by Alexander Marsh, so do have a look at, these two resources as well. I do highly recommend them. But yes, on this project, Scott will teach you, all right, something called the workhorse switch, all right, which is basically kind of like a hand-to-hand kind of a switch, all right, and most of us will already do a version of this, okay, and Scott shows you his handling of it. There will be an unfold switch where you're apparently unfolding a visible billet, but in the action you switch it for another. And then the refold switch where you do the thing in kind of reverse, I suppose, where you fold up a billet into quarters, but in that action you've switched it out. And then Scott will tell you about something called the elimination switch and the split elimination switch, okay, which is used in his handling of name and place. Everything is well shot, very clear, and you should have no problems following along. So after Scott goes through the billet switches with you, all right, he will take you through a couple of routines, all right, just to show you how these switches are applied, all right, in performance. And we all love routines, okay, and on this project you will learn 5 of them, all right. I believe that there are 5. It begins with a one-on-one reading, kind of a routine, all right. So what happens in this routine is, you give a billet to a spectator, you have them think of a question, they write down their question on the piece of paper or the billet. It's folded up, it is placed into their pocket. You remove another card, another piece of paper. You write down your impressions about them, in that moment. It is folded, handed to them, they place it in their pocket as well. And then from here, you can give a reading about their question, and it will be really, really accurate. This routine, the approach, it has been published, in other places, such as, in recent times, Louis Laval has put out something on his OTT project called the Oracle of Delphi Q&A, I think. All right, so it kind of follows that style of approach, all right, the concept, which of course is, it's been done, it's been published also, a similar kind of approach that was published by Jeff Anderson in the form of something called the Pusillanimous Billet Read, I think, that was published in Switchcraft. So it's that kind of an approach, but it's a really great one. It really makes a one-on-one reading, I think, really smooth, relevant, and really easy to execute. Next up, Scott will take you through his handling of the name and place routine. This handling, all right, doesn't use any tears, and it doesn't involve burning of billets as well, all right? Because one thing that, us modern performers, right, we have to get away from burning of billets, because it just isn't allowed, right, at most venues now. So Scott will teach you a handling where, you don't have to get a billet burnt, okay, and you can still stay quite true to the premise, all right, eliminating one and then doing your reading on one of the billets, and then coming back and hitting them with the reveal of the eliminated billet as well. There will be something as well for all of you Millet Longman fans, all right, something that Scott calls Acidus Lots from Little, okay, and in this piece, it uses that move, obviously, but what Scott has done is he has structured a routine in such a way that he gives you the ability to reveal more information than you would normally get. So you will be able to reveal the whole card, okay, and there's also a way to kind of justify the positioning of the writing as well. Okay, so this is Lots from Little, and Scott will tell you, how you can actually nail 4 hits instead of just 1. Well, some of the hits aren't really readily applicable, to where I come from, okay, but I believe, with some thought, I will be able to apply the concept as well. Scott will then walk you through a routine called the 3 billet test. Okay, so in this routine, there are 3 billets involved. 3 members of the audience are given each a folded billet. They're asked to write down their name and their date of birth. These are folded, collected back, placed into your jacket pocket. All right, it's mixed up. From there, you're right. I don't want to tell you guys too much about the structure of the routine, but if you do know the routine from Christopher Carter, all right, something that he calls the CC Seer, all right, that was published also in Doug Diamond's Calculated Thoughts, all right, Calculated Thoughts. The structure of the routine is, pretty similar, I think. Okay, but in this case, Scott is using names and dates of birth, because Scott has a kind of psychic flavored kind of a performance style. All right, so using the name along with the date of birth enables him to give readings based on tarot cards and stuff like that. All right, so this is I suppose his kind of presentation. All right, and also he uses the switches that he teaches as well. Okay, so he shows you how the moves are applied in this particular routine. And of course, no Scott Creasey project is complete without Q&A, and on this project you will also learn a handling of Q&A that you can perform with folded billets. Okay, so I think Scott did mention that this handling is something that he performs for smaller groups of people, 5, 6, I don't know, up to 10 maybe, but that's all you need, just 10 billets. People fill in the cards. You can use any kind of theme you like, the real Q&A style kind of reading, kind of a routine, or you could just use dates of births, interesting facts, whatever you like. But using this very simple structure, you will be able to work your way through all of the cards, and at the end you can place the whole stack onto the table, and everything comes out in the right order as well. So that is what is covered on Paperwork Volume 2, all right? So, if you did pick up Volume 1, I suppose you can pick up Volume 2 as well at the same time. Billets are really versatile, really flexible as well, and as a professional performer, I can tell you that billet work is something that I really enjoy. My only advice I can give you is, billet routines, they tend to be quite similar in structure. So it's going to be, retrieve the billet, switch, display, peek, switch, and return and switch, and it's that kind of a thing, right? And it's really hard to get away from that because of the kind of effects that we do. So I think many performers have different ways, different and yet similar ways, of doing, for example, a 3 billet routine. My advice is to look at a few, pick one, or even come up with your own, that's even better. And then once you have a sequence that you're familiar with and you're happy with, just stick to it. Okay, because it can get a bit confusing. If you do a lot of billet work, you will know, right? If you learn too many different kinds of routines, but the effects are pretty similar, you can kind of get a bit confused. For me, something that works close up is the Mike O'Brien billet routine, the MOB billet routine that was published by Andy Nyman in his short, punchy and mental notes. That routine has worked for me so well for so many years. I used to use it all the time in my close-up work, and then on stage for certain kinds of shows. I do have a routine that is based on Enemann's Telepathy Plus that I shared actually on some of my online lectures, and some lecture notes as well. So if you are new to billet work, I do urge you to get into it. Learn some simple applications, and you will find out, all right, the power that billet work will offer you. Alright, but that's all I have to say about Paperwork Volume 2. I do hope you guys enjoyed this review and got something out of it as well. I want to thank D. Christopher over at the 1914 for letting me have a look at this so that I can chat about it with you guys on this show. If you want to have a look at Paperwork for yourselves, I will leave the link in the description box down below. On the next episode, I'll be talking about something from Hansen Chen Productions. Okay, so I hope you guys look forward to that. But till the next episode, guys, do stay safe, take care of yourselves, have fun with your magic and your mentalism, and I'll see you on the next one.